Let's get right into it. Number 7. The Juul E-Cigarette. Juul claimed they were helping people quit smoking, but they were actually creating the iPhone of nicotine delivery. The device was sleek, stylish, and could hide in plain sight like a USB drive. While other e-cigarettes had nicotine levels around 1 to 2%, Juul cranked theirs up to 5%. That's like turning a water gun into a fire hose of nicotine. The flavors weren't targeting lifelong smokers. Names like creme brulee and mango were clearly aimed at a younger audience. Their marketing used young, attractive models all over social media. They made vaping look as cool as posting avocado toast on Instagram. A whole generation of teens got hooked on nicotine. Leaked files proved they specifically studied teen social media habits. They even planned launch parties at youth-friendly venues. By 2018, over 20% of high school students were using Juul. That's 1 in 5 kids getting their daily dose of nicotine between algebra and lunch. The company made billions while creating what doctors now call the youth nicotine epidemic. Juul wasn't designed to help smokers quit. It was designed to create new ones. Number 6. Cigarette filters. In the 1950s, tobacco company scientists confirmed their product was killing people. The public was starting to panic about lung cancer, so the tobacco industry invented the cigarette filter. Now, you might think filters were created to make smoking safer. That's exactly what Big Tobacco wanted you to think. Internal documents show they were fully aware that filters were about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Those white fiber tips just made people feel safer. The first popular filtered cigarette brand, Kent, even used filters made with asbestos, marketing it as the greatest health protection in cigarette history. The reality is, filters actually made cigarettes more dangerous. When you filter smoke, people just inhale harder to get their nicotine fix. All that extra suction forces the smoke deeper into your lungs. Those filters are made of cellulose acetate, basically plastic. They're the most littered item on Earth. 4.5 trillion cigarette butts are thrown away every year. Each one takes about 10 years to decompose, leaching nicotine and heavy metals into the soil and water. So not only did tobacco companies trick people into thinking filters made smoking safer, they also created one of the biggest sources of plastic pollution on the planet. Number 5. The Keep America Beautiful campaign. That guilt you feel about throwing away plastic? The feeling that it's your fault the oceans are filling with trash? You've been played by one of the most successful manipulation campaigns ever. In the 1950s, Coca-Cola and Pepsi had a problem. Their single-use bottles were creating massive litter. States were trying to pass laws forcing them to use refillable bottles. That would cost them a fortune, so they created the Keep America Beautiful campaign. On the surface, it looked like a nice environmental group, but this was actually one of the first major astroturfing campaigns. Corporations dressing up as grassroots environmental movements. Their most famous ad showed a crying Native American looking at pollution. The message was clear: littering is your fault, not the companies making billions from disposable containers. You are the bad guy for not disposing of their products properly, and it worked beautifully. Blame shifted to consumers. The crying Indian in their famous commercial wasn't even Native American. He was an Italian-American actor. Even their guilt trip was fake. This campaign was so successful that other industries copied it. Chemical companies made fake farmer alliances to fight pesticide bans. Number 4. Agent Orange. Agent Orange started as a weed killer in the 1940s. It didn't just kill weeds, it killed pretty much any plant it touched. The military saw this and decided to spray it all over Vietnam's forests and crops. During the Vietnam War, American planes dumped about 20 million gallons of this stuff. They called it Operation Ranch Hand. Their slogan was, "Only you can prevent forests." The companies making Agent Orange, like Dow and Monsanto, knew something was wrong with their product. During manufacturing, this chemical got contaminated with dioxin. Dioxin is one of the most toxic substances known to man. It gets into the soil, the water, and eventually into people. Once it's in you, it doesn't leave. The companies knew about this contamination and how dangerous it was, but they kept quiet and kept making it. 3 generations later, people in Vietnam are still being born with horrific birth defects. Veterans who were exposed started developing rare cancers. Their children were born with spina bifida and other conditions. There are places in Vietnam where the soil is still so contaminated that nothing will grow. The chemical companies tried to claim they were just following orders. They eventually paid a settlement, but it was a fraction of what they made. Number 3. The Anti-Fat Health Fad. In 1967, the sugar industry held a secret meeting. Scientists were starting to link sugar to heart disease. That was bad for business. So the Sugar Research Foundation secretly paid 3 Harvard scientists about $50,000 in today's money. These scientists wrote a paper designed to shift all the blame from sugar to fat. They cherry-picked studies that made fat look like the villain, while completely ignoring evidence about sugar's harmful effects. America's entire understanding of nutrition changed overnight. Suddenly, everyone was terrified of fat. Companies started pumping out fat-free versions of everything, but when you take fat out of food, it tastes like cardboard. So they replaced it with sugar, massive amounts of sugar. That fat-free yogurt you're eating probably has more sugar than a candy bar. Those fat-free cookies are basically sugar bombs with flour. The sugar industry pulled off one of the greatest con jobs in nutrition history. This wasn't discovered until 2016, when researchers found the secret documents. By then, the damage was done. We'd spent decades getting fatter and sicker while eating healthy, fat-free foods. They didn't care if millions got diabetes, as long as profits stayed sweet. Number 2. Factor VIII blood products. In the 1980s, hemophiliacs depended on regular injections of Factor VIII, a blood clotting medicine. The company making it, Bayer's Cutter Laboratories, discovered something horrifying in their product. It was contaminated with HIV. They created a new, safer version that was heat-treated to kill the virus. But instead of destroying the old contaminated stock, they kept selling it to Asia and Latin America. Internal documents revealed their reasoning. There is excess plasma that must be sold. They didn't want to lose money by throwing it away. Thousands of hemophiliacs in these countries were infected with HIV. Many of them were children. The company had 2 different labels. One for the good product going to wealthy countries, and one for the contaminated version being dumped in poorer nations, like having 2 restaurants where you serve clean food to rich customers and knowingly serve contaminated food to poor ones. Many victims didn't find out until years later, after they'd already infected their partners. Number 1. OxyContin. Back in the 1990s, Purdue Pharma had a problem. They had this super strong painkiller, but doctors were scared to prescribe it. Doctors knew strong painkillers could be addictive. Purdue's solution was simple. Just lie about it. They created a marketing campaign claiming OxyContin was virtually non-addictive. Their sales reps told doctors less than 1% of patients would get addicted. That was completely made up. They even coined a term, opiophobia, to shame doctors who were hesitant to prescribe opioids. They tracked which doctors prescribed the most painkillers and targeted them with aggressive marketing, free lunches, paid speeches, fancy trips, anything to get them to prescribe more. When reports started coming in about addiction and overdoses, Purdue doubled down. They blamed the victims, calling them reckless criminals who were abusing the drug. Meanwhile, the Sackler family who owned Purdue made billions. By 2004, OxyContin had become the most abused prescription drug in America. This wasn't some underground drug operation. This was a respected pharmaceutical company, working with doctors, using official channels. They made billions while countless lives were destroyed. To date, over 500,000 Americans have died from opioid overdoses. When they finally got caught, the Sackler family paid billions in settlements but managed to avoid any jail time and keep most of their fortune. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.